And we are joined now by Fox Sports lead game analyst Joel Klatt. Joel, let's run through what was a great Saturday of Big Ten football a week ago. Oregon-Penn State, of course, was kind of the centerpiece game. The Ducks managing to pull it out in double overtime. What's your biggest takeaway on the Oregon side? We'll get to Penn State in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, they're ahead of schedule. This was supposed to be a bit of a rebuilding year. And listen, I know Dan Lanning would say we don't rebuild, we reload. And I understand that. And they've recruited at the top end of the sport. They constantly are in the top 5 in the transfer portal. In fact, if you look at just like average player rating, in a lot of cases, they're number 1. So they felt like they were going to be great, but we hadn't seen it. Let's face it. They had a lot of youth on the field. They had a rebuilt offensive line on the field via the transfer portal. Freshman De'Aaron Hill, who looks tremendous. 2 corners that are both freshmen, a redshirt freshman and a true freshman, and a quarterback that had never really started in an environment like that. And they're facing a team with a lot of experienced players, and they're ahead of schedule. There's no other way to put it. And I will tell you this, the calm and confidence that Dante Moore showed in that environment was staggering to me. Really was. You can tell that he prepares as well as anybody. Will Stein has told me that, by the way, their offensive coordinator, that he's as good in preparation as anybody that he's had. But then it's also his ability. Did you notice it didn't matter the situation? It didn't matter if it was 4th down. It didn't matter if it was 3rd down, 3rd and long, 3rd and short, 4th and, he was unfazed and unbothered. Second overtime makes probably the best play he made all day long because denied Dennis Sutton is unblocked right in his face, and he just calmly protects the football, scoops underneath him, gets over to his right, and throws a touchdown pass. Like, this guy's phenomenal, and I think that this team is going to generate a lot of confidence from a win like that. That was an emotional win. You could tell at the end of the game the way that Dan Lanning reacts. So from Oregon's perspective, I think they're ahead of schedule, and there's a lot of young guys that got massive experience in that environment. That'll pay dividends for them moving on.
Now, it's pretty remarkable to do that, as you say, in that environment with 1 returning starter on offense and 4 returning starters on the entire team. It really speaks volumes to the amazing coaching job that they have done. On the other side, with Penn State, needless to say, we have a bit of a theme developing in not being able to close out these games against top 10 teams. We can talk about what happened, but I honestly think, like, from a Penn State fan's point of view, you're looking at your schedule right now and you're saying, okay, what happened, happened. But we've got to try to make the college football playoff, either have to beat Ohio State or have to beat Indiana, probably, right? Those are 2 top 10 teams. Can you maybe get in with 3
you're not
losses?
getting in at 9-3.
Probably not. Probably not.
Right.
Okay, so what do they need to do with this offense, Joel, to get it to a place where it can win at least one of those games? Yeah,
so first off, I want to preface this by saying, like, I'm a big fan of Andy Kotelnicki and James Franklin. And, to James's defense, even though he took full, responsibility and said that, hey, like, this narrative is not a narrative, it's factual. And yes, the numbers are factual. However, I would just say, if I look at the regular season games that they have come up short in, and so up to Saturday, it was 14 in a row dating back to 2016. We've talked about this a lot, right?
Yep.
And so that's the 15th. But of those 15, this was the only one of those games dating back to 2016 that he was both the higher ranked and favored team. Okay, so this one feels different. I think we would all agree with that because it felt like, well, this is the time, and if not now, then when? So now they come up short. And here's what they have to do. And I think they need to take a page out of what now their defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, did a year ago at Ohio State. And that is have some competitive integrity. What does that mean, Rev? Well, that means that you've got to evaluate yourself with an insane amount of honesty and humility. And you've got to look at yourself structurally, philosophically, everything, and say, okay, hold on. What's going wrong and how do we fix it? I'll just say, last year, after the Oregon loss for Ohio State in the middle of the year, they changed defensively. Philosophy, their structure changed. They wanted to feature their players and their players' skill sets better. They wanted to change the rush so that their players' skill sets were better used. And that defense became the #1 defense in the country after giving up a lot of points on the road to Oregon. Well, I think that they need to do a similar thing with this Penn State offense. This Penn State offense right now, there is a really good scheme, and then there's some really talented players, but I don't think that the scheme and the players are fit. Okay, so the scheme needs to feature the players. That's not happening right now. Drew Aller's skill set is not a great fit for exactly what they're trying to do with Andy Kotelnicki. Now, I'm not saying you need to change Andy Kotelnicki. I'm saying Andy Kotelnicki needs to develop some things structurally and philosophically to take advantage of what Drew does best. What he does not do best is the short area RPO point guard style offense, because he doesn't have quick enough feet and his release is not quick enough. So because of that, the ball is out slow and it's always behind players in the short intermediate routes, back shoulder constantly on those in-breaking routes, and those become incompletions. Where he does excel is when he is intermediate or down the field and he can step into or be in rhythm in the pocket. And so all of a sudden they come out down a couple of scores, and what do? They go to that element to their offense, and he looks like a different player throwing the football down the field. That needs to be more of a feature rather than just a wrinkle in what they're doing offensively. And if they do that, I do believe that they can improve to a point where they could win every game that they play from this point on. But if they don't change that philosophy, or at least evaluate themselves with true integrity and honesty and humility, and if they try to do the same things again, they're going to have trouble in those games because the offense is not a fit for the personnel as we speak.
And you've got a chance here over the next couple weeks. You've got UCLA and Northwestern, and no disrespect meant to either of those programs, but they're not at that level consistently right now. So maybe Penn State can experiment a little bit over these next 2 weeks and then be.
And I would just say a disclaimer, right? That doesn't mean that the offense is bad.
Right.
We're talking about like the last 0.5% of the mountaintop. Yeah. You know what I mean, Rev? Like that doesn't mean that this offense can't be successful, not put up a lot of numbers, which they can, but you're not out there to beat UCLA and Northwestern. I hate saying it that way, but that's, you and I both know it's like they were preparing for a season where they want to go win a national championship, win the Big Ten. Well, that's rarefied air. The last 2 national championships came from this conference. The best teams in this sport sit in this conference. The top of college football sits in this conference. So you've got to be the best. Well, to be the best, you need the last 0.5%. And that's what I'm talking about, this last 0.5%, that fit. What do you feature within your offense in order to get the best out of your players?
And to your point, teams get better during the course of the year. You cited Ohio State last year. I will give you an example of a team that we've seen get better this year. We saw get better in 1 week, and that's Illinois. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You were in Champaign for Big Noon. I mean, to go from 2 rushing yards to 171, to go from allowing 7 sacks to allowing 1 in the span of 7 days. What did they do with their offensive line to get it so much more competitive against USC and to be successful after a week where Indiana, frankly, made them look silly?
So let me, I'm sorry, I'm giving you all these prefaces. I'll just say, watching the film leading up to last week, I'm going to be very transparent with everyone here, and this is not meant to disparage. Watching the film leading up to last week, I thought genuinely there was no way Illinois could beat USC. I don't say that often, but I think that it makes the point of what we're going to be talking about here. The film didn't suggest it at all. Duke absolutely annihilated Illinois' offensive line, even though Illinois won the football game. Indiana annihilated Illinois' offensive line and won the football game going away. And so I'm coming into this and I'm like, hold on, this film, the defensive line for USC is active. They're long, they're aggressive. They've got 16 sacks on the year, tied for most in college football. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't see it. I thought that USC was going to win fairly handily because of the offensive line of Illinois. And yet, the reason that the Illini won was that offensive line. So what happened? What happened? Exactly what we're just talking about right here. Some real competitive integrity, honesty, maturity, humility, all of these things. Barry Lunney, the offensive coordinator at Illinois, he sat with me on Friday, and for the first time that Friday, I thought to myself, oh, okay, wait. Illinois might have something, because he admitted to me, he said, listen, we're not good side to side. We've tried to do that too much. We're going to feature direct runs because that's what our guys can do. So it's not what Barry Lunney wants to do at coordinator per se, like side to side RPO system, quarterback counter, all these different things. No. What do our guys do best? Well, let's let them do what they're best at. Direct runs, downhill runs. And what do? They came out with Fagan, who's a 255-pound back, and they ran right downhill at USC. And the offensive line played their best game by a factor of 10 during the course of this year. And what was it? Did they change something? Did they practice something different? No. The play caller allowed the players to do what they do best. That was it. That was it. And it was remarkable. And I got to tell you, I've got a lot of respect for Brett Bielema, Barry Lunney, Aaron Henry, because they clearly did a lot of soul searching. And the team that we saw play USC was just vastly different than the team that we saw play in Bloomington the previous week.
No doubt. And I'm with you. I didn't see it coming either. So we were both a little bit surprised.
Probably a little bit too honest there, right?
I mean, look, you've got to say what you were thinking. And again, you studied a ton of film, and that's what you saw. For me, it was just a matter of watching those two games, in our green room and just saying, man, I don't see how they stand a chance here. But again, give a ton of credit. I think the mental game is huge, but as you say, the physical game and the scheming part of it was enormous as well. I want to ask you really quickly about your game this week, Michigan and Wisconsin. We've talked a lot about the Wolverines, you and I have, to this point this year. I'm not sure we've really talked about Wisconsin. It's obviously not going great. Injuries have been a huge part of that. But why can't Wisconsin run the ball? And what are they going to need to do in this game to be able to do that and to try to make this game competitive?
Long answer, and I'm going to try to make it as quick as I possibly can. When Luke Fickell got the job at Wisconsin, they tried to go air raid offense, and that was a real departure from what Wisconsin had been philosophically forever, dating back to Barry Alvarez. Well, that's a really difficult change to make, and it never materialized. And now they're trying to change back into a team that can feature a more balanced, pro-oriented, run game-centric type of offense so that they are not reliant as much on great quarterback play as maybe they were trying to be over the last couple of years. So offensively, they're struggling because of a transition, and it's a philosophy transition. Now, I think it's the correct transition, and I hope they get the time in order to do it and execute it over the next year, two, maybe even three, because it is going to take time to develop the offensive line. But what they do well is stop the run. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Rev, I know they're not great offensively, but they're number one in the country stopping the run. And if there's one element of your team that better be strong to face Michigan, it's stopping the run. I would not be surprised if Wisconsin gives Michigan some fits early in this game. I really won't be surprised at all because the matchup suggests that that's going to happen. And then the question will be, can Bryce Underwood throw them out of it? And we're going to see. I think that there's going to be a moment in this game, in particular in the first half, where Underwood is going to have to be in a pass-first situation, and we'll see if he can develop through that. I can't wait for it, really.
Well, we are looking forward to it as well on Saturday, big noon. Obviously, Gus and Jenny on hand with you in Ann Arbor. Enjoy it, and thanks as always for your time. Appreciate you, Joel.
You bet, bud. Have a great day.